Ladies and gentlemen, there exists within each of us a mystery, an ancient force, quiet but immeasurable in its influence. It is the power of feminine detachment, not coldness, not indifference, but a deeper wisdom, the ability to let go, to observe without being consumed, to love without possessing. In every age, the feminine archetype has been misunderstood. She has been praised when compliant and feared when sovereign. Yet her greatest strength is not in submission nor conquest, but in the silent sovereignty of her own soul. The detached feminine stands as the moon stands over the tide, influencing, shaping, yet never becoming the wave herself. Detachment is not the absence of emotion, it is the mastery of it. It is the ability to allow emotions to pass through the soul like wind through an open window, acknowledged, felt, but not chained. She who practices detachment does not harden her heart. She tempers it, the way fire tempers steel. Through this tempering, she becomes something far more powerful than the brittle ideal of perfection. She becomes whole. We are taught, often unconsciously, that to love means to cling, to grasp, to bind ourselves to another's destiny. Yet true love, the love born of a detached heart, sets free. It stands at the threshold of the beloved soul and says, "I honor you even if you walk away from me." This is a terrifying and sacred power, one that demands the death of the ego's hunger and the birth of something more ancient, trust in life itself. The woman and the man, for these forces live in both, who embodies feminine detachment is like a deep well. She does not rush to fill the silence, she lets it speak. She does not seize every passing form, she allows the forms to dance, knowing none can complete her, because she is already complete. Feminine detachment is the flowering of deep inner knowing. It does not deny suffering, but recognizes that suffering often arises from the refusal to surrender to life's impermanence. To detach is to acknowledge that everything we hold dear, every face, every dream, every tender hope, will one day pass beyond our grasp. Yet it is in this very passing that beauty is born. The world often mistakes this detachment for weakness or aloofness. It is neither. It is a profound engagement with life on life's own terms, not as we would demand it to be. It is the stillness beneath the storm, the silence beneath the music, the being that watches without needing to control. Thus, the feminine detached spirit becomes a vessel of transformation. She inspires not by grasping but by radiating. She heals not by fixing but by bearing witness. She loves not by owning but by seeing truly. In each of us is this capacity to love more bravely, to live more freely, to meet life with open hands rather than clenched fists. To cultivate feminine detachment is not to become less human, it is to become more fully human. To walk through the world with a soul that is sovereign, a heart that is wise, and a spirit that belongs to nothing and thus belongs to everything. Feminine detachment is the mastery of emotion without the loss of sensitivity. This truth rests at the heart of an ancient inner alchemy that modern life too often forgets. To master emotion is not to repress it, nor to deny it, nor to discard it as some unwelcome visitor. Rather, it is to sit with it, to know it intimately, to allow it to course through the body and soul without becoming enslaved by it. In the traditional imagination, emotion has been portrayed as the great enemy of reason, the storm to be weathered or the flood to be damned. Yet in the deeper understanding of the soul's journey, emotion is not the enemy at all. It is the companion, the guide, the messenger sent from hidden chambers of the psyche. The feminine principle, when truly alive within a person, knows that sensitivity is not a weakness, but a portal to profound awareness. Sensitivity allows one to feel the shifting sands of reality, to sense the movements of the invisible currents beneath the surface of events. It opens the heart to suffering, to joy, to the tremors of change that pulse through existence. But without mastery, sensitivity can become a curse. an endless drowning in the pain and chaos of the world. Without mastery, the sensitive soul can become lost in the very depths it was born to navigate. To master emotion while retaining sensitivity is to walk a razor's edge. It demands an inner stance that is both receptive and sovereign. One must allow the waves to come, to feel their force and their sorrow and their sweetness, but not be pulled under by them. One must allow rage to burn without becoming consumed by it, allow grief to pass through like a river without clinging to its cold stones. To master emotion in this way is to treat each feeling as a sacred guest, to greet it, to listen, but not to give over the keys of the house. The detached feminine does not numb herself. She does not wrap herself in armor so thick that no arrow can pierce it. She remains tender, open, responsive, but she holds the center. She becomes the vessel that holds the wine without spilling, the flute that lets the music pass through without shattering from the sound. Her heart is an instrument tuned finely to life's many notes, yet it remains in her own hands, played by her own will. This path requires an immense discipline, though it appears effortless from the outside. It is not the discipline of force or harshness, but of watchfulness, of inner listening. The detached feminine watches herself even as she feels. She observes the rise and fall of her passions as a traveler watches the changing landscape, participating fully, yet never confusing herself with any one terrain. She can love deeply, mourn sincerely, rejoice wholeheartedly, but within it all there remains a small flame untouched, a part of her that remembers she is more than her shifting moods. To master emotion is to recognize that feelings are true but not always real in the sense we often imagine. They are indicators, not dictators. They are the cries and songs of the soul, but not the soul itself. Sensitivity allows one to hear these cries more clearly, to be moved by them, but mastery ensures that action is taken from wisdom, not from the heat of the moment. The detached feminine allows herself to be moved, but not to be thrown into chaos. She chooses her movements with the full knowledge of her emotional tides, sailing them rather than being wrecked by them. There is a profound beauty in this way of being. It reveals a soul that is neither frozen nor flung about, but alive in a dance with existence. It is a dance where one responds, yields, steps forward, steps back, with a grace born not from rigidity, but from deep inner alignment. The sensitivity gives depth to each step. The mastery ensures the dance is chosen and not dictated. Such a person may cry, may rage, may fall to her knees in sorrow, but she rises again, not because she has denied her feelings, but because she has honored them and yet refused to become them. She knows that her essence lies deeper than any passing storm of the heart. Her sensitivity is her connection to the world, her bridge to the sorrows and joys of others. But her mastery ensures that she can cross that bridge without losing herself in another's flood. To live with this balance is to live with profound compassion. It is the compassion that does not drown alongside the suffering, but that reaches out a hand from a steady place. It is the compassion that can listen without judgment, that can hold space for another without the need to fix or absorb their pain. This form of feminine detachment is not cold, it is the warmth of a hearth that gives light and comfort without burning down the house. The cultivation of this state is not immediate. It comes through trial, through the continual choosing of presence over reaction, of understanding over collapse. It comes through the willingness to feel fully and yet to recognize that no feeling is the final word on reality. It comes through the refinement of the inner witness, that aspect of the soul that watches with great love but also great clarity. Through this alchemy, a person becomes a safe harbor not only for others but for herself. She can trust herself with her own depths. She can enter the caverns of her longing and her despair and return, bringing treasures of wisdom rather than burdens of sorrow. Her sensitivity is her strength, not her downfall, precisely because she has mastered the art of being with emotion without becoming its captive. This mastery does not strip life of its vividness, it enhances it. Colors are brighter, music is more stirring, love is more profound when one can feel it fully without fear of losing oneself. The detached feminine lives at the crossroads of all her inner worlds, moving between them with a knowing smile, a warrior's endurance, and a poet's heart. She belongs to herself, and through that belonging she can belong more fully to life itself. In this way, emotion becomes an offering, not a demand. Sensitivity becomes a gift to be shared, not a wound to be defended. The world is in desperate need of such souls, those who can feel deeply without falling apart, those who can bear the unbearable and still choose love. Feminine detachment is not a withdrawal from life, but a deeper entry into its true nature, where nothing is grasped and nothing is wasted. True power lies in loving and living without clinging or control. This truth is not immediately obvious to a world that equates love with possession and power with domination. Yet beneath the surface of appearances, a deeper current moves, one that reveals that the most enduring strength is not found in the hand that grasps, but in the heart that releases. To love without clinging is to recognize that the beloved is not an extension of oneself, not a possession to be secured, not a source of identity to be jealously guarded. It is to see the other as they are, in their full sovereignty, and to honor the mystery that separates one soul from another, even in the deepest intimacy. Living without control is a far greater challenge than living without love. Control is the illusion by which we shield ourselves from the terrifying vastness of life's uncertainty. It is a defense against vulnerability, a fortress against the raw unpredictability of existence. Yet in attempting to control, we bind ourselves more tightly than anything we might seek to possess. The effort to dominate life, to tether it to our will, creates a cage not for life, but for the self. In clinging, whether to people, outcomes, or ideals, we shrink the soul to the size of its own fears. True love, real and potent, flourishes in freedom. It is born in the moment when we can look into the eyes of another and say, "You do not belong to me, and yet I choose to walk beside you." It is a love that demands nothing but gives everything. It is a love that does not decay into dependency or dissolve into obsession. It breathes and moves like a living thing, unconstrained by the need to define or contain it. Such love can survive loss, can withstand separation, because its roots sink deeper than circumstance. To live without control is to participate in the great dance of existence with an open hand. It is to step into the flow of time without demanding that it bend to our desires. It is to act with integrity and passion, yet to release the outcome. This does not mean passivity. It means engaging with life fully, yet without the desperation that clutches and schemes. It means trusting that whatever comes is part of a larger unfolding, one that is wiser and more intricate than any design we could impose upon it. The soul that has learned to love without clinging and to live without control becomes luminous. There is a lightness about such a being, a freedom that draws others like moths to a flame. This freedom is not chaos, it is a profound order born from alignment with the deeper rhythms of life. It is the calm at the center of the storm, the still point around which all movement turns. It is strength not built on domination but on surrender to the greater mystery that animates all things. In the practice of non-clinging love, one learns to honor endings as well as beginnings. One learns that to love someone is sometimes to let them go, to bless their journey even if it leads them away. In this way, love becomes a sacred act, a mirror of the divine, in which nothing is owned and everything is offered. Control diminishes the beloved into an object. Freedom reveals them as a soul, vast and unknowable. In choosing freedom over possession, we choose to see more deeply, to love more purely. Similarly, in living without control, one cultivates a radical trust in life itself. One learns to plant seeds without demanding the harvest, to build without certainty of reward, to dream without attachment to the form those dreams may take. Such living requires courage, for it strips away the illusions that comfort the ego. It demands that we stand naked before the mystery, unguarded and undefended. Yet it is precisely in this nakedness that true power is found, the power to adapt, to endure. This form of power is paradoxical. It is not the power to impose, but the power to inspire. It is not the ability to command, but the ability to awaken. The person who loves without clinging and lives without control becomes a catalyst for transformation simply by being. Their presence reminds others of their own freedom, their own capacity to choose love over fear, trust over grasping. This path does not lead to a life without pain. On the contrary, it often exposes one to deeper sorrows, the sorrows of impermanence, of separation, of inevitable change. But it also opens the heart to a joy that is vast and indestructible, a joy that does not depend on circumstances. It is the joy of participation, of communion with the ever-changing, ever-renewing life force that moves through all things. Those who walk this path do not escape suffering, but they are not destroyed by it. They know that loss is not the end of love, that failure is not the end of life, that endings are but portals to new beginnings. They are not immune to grief, but their grief is touched by a quiet knowing that nothing truly real is ever lost. They do not seek to imprison life within the walls of their expectations. They open their arms to its wildness and its wonder. In loving without clinging, we recognize the sacredness of the other's freedom. In living without control, we honor the sacredness of our own journey. We cease to be tyrants over our own souls, demanding that they follow a narrow script written in fear. Instead, we become co-creators with life, dancing to a music that is older than time, responding to the call of something greater than ourselves. In this way, power is reclaimed from the structures of fear and returned to its rightful place, within the depths of the soul, where it shines not as dominion but as radiance. It is a power that builds rather than breaks, that liberates rather than confines. It is the silent power of the tree that bends with the wind and does not fall, the river that carves the canyon through persistent yielding. To love without clinging and to live without control is to align oneself with the fundamental truth of existence, that nothing can be possessed, that everything changes, and that in this ever-turning dance the soul finds its true home. It is a path not of resignation but of awakening. It is a power that wears no crown, that claims no throne, but that moves mountains and opens hearts by its very being.